What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. Now, just quickly before we get into today's Entitled Parent stories, firstly, make sure you are subscribed to my channel. We're now closing in very rapidly on 500,000 subscribers, so if you are new to the channel, hit that button and help us get there. Also, YouTube seems to have a habit of randomly unsubscribing you from channels you thought you were subscribed to. I'm not really sure why, so even if you know you are subscribed, go ahead and check and hit the button if you are not. With that being said, let's jump into today's first Entitled Parent story. Entitled father yells at me and tries to destroy my phone because he got wet on a water ride. Background information: I was at this theme park in the UK. It's quite big. It's called Alton Towers in Staffordshire, and in the park they have a ride called the Battle Galleons. Around the ride they have water cannons that you can use to wet the riders. They also have them on the ride. Moving on to the story. So an entitled father was on the ride, so naturally I went onto one of the water cannons to wet the people on the ride. I then made a mistake. I wet the entitled father and his entitled son. They are visibly annoyed, however I think nothing of it. They then exit the ride and I see them running up to where I am.
What gives you the right to wet me and my child?
It's a water ride, that's the point.
Well, did I give you permission to do that?
I don't need permission, it's a water ride.
Me and my child are now soaking wet, all thanks to you. I will make sure to have you removed from the park and banned for life.
Daddy, I'm cold.
Don't worry, son. Daddy's here.
The entitled father then attempts to grab my phone out of my hand to throw it into the water rides area. At this time, a member of the park staff is walking by, so I call them over. This man is yelling at me because I wet him and his child on a water ride. He also just attempted to grab my phone out of my hand and throw it into the water. An entitled mum and entitled daughter from that same family then come off the ride and spot the ruckus going off down at where I am. The entitled mum begins shouting and screaming at me and the park staff. What the F is going on over here?
Please, don't use that language around children, Mom. This boy here wet me and my son.
Why the F would you do that? They are just trying to enjoy their day out. It's a water ride. The entitled daughter then tries to snatch my phone, just like her entitled father.
I think we've seen enough here. Enjoy your day.
The park staff then escorts the entitled father, son, daughter, and mum to the park exit, and I get on with my day like nothing happened, with my phone safely with me. Now guys, look, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I've been on quite a few water rides, and there's one thing they all seem to have in common. They tend to involve water. Kind of mad. I know the clue's not really in the name, but I don't know, maybe some people just don't realize that. As a result, you tend to get wet on these rides. I know, maybe I'm wrong here. That's just my experience, guys. As I said, let me know if I'm wrong. I don't really get what this entitled family are complaining about. It's a water ride. That means you're surrounded by water. You're gonna get wet. Surely it doesn't even matter if someone's shooting a water cannon at you from outside the actual ride. You're splashing down into water. You're gonna get covered in it. It doesn't really matter, does it? I don't know, maybe I'm wrong here, but when you sign up and you're like, you know what, yeah, let's go on that water ride, you're kind of expecting to get wet, surely. Surely, guys. The fact that the entitled father and her entitled daughter then try to grab your phone and chuck it back in the water ride, yeah, that just shows how crazy this entitled family are. Now moving on to our next story. It's not fair that only he gets to make a wish. This is a story about my own entitled dad. Some background. I have a twin brother. When my parents divorced, my dad wanted to split us down the middle, like possessions, but neither of us wanted that, and my mum thought that was stupid because, well, kids aren't possessions. Due to that, my dad has always been nasty and stopped anything he could do on his time. This meant no lessons, sleepovers, vacations, etc. He eventually remarried and had 3 other kids, so while they wouldn't get to do fun stuff, my brother and I still could. Now on to the main story. When we were about 9ish, my brother got diagnosed with leukemia. For a while, it kept getting worse, and my dad tried to interfere with his treatments because they fell on his part of the custody agreement every now and then. My mum threatened to take both of us away, so begrudgingly my brother got his treatments. Sometimes, as very sick kids do, my family got approached by Make-A-Wish. My brother wanted nothing more than a family vacation to Disney for me, my mum, and himself. Well, with Make-A-Wish for trips like those, the non-custodial parent has to agree too, and this is where my dad got to be an idiot. He was in the hallway of the hospital screaming at my mum while I was in the hospital room with my brother, but I could still hear them. It was a good while ago, so all quotes quote might not be exact.
There's no way in heck I'm agreeing to you three getting a free trip to Disney.
I don't care if it was even just him. He might not be here much longer.
Well, it's not fair. If he gets to make a wish, he should be a good boy and give it to me and his other siblings. You and OP can stay home.
He doesn't want to bring all of you guys. He specifically said he wants OP and me with him.
Well, if he wants to go, he better be a big boy and either bring everyone or make my kids get a wish to go.
He has cancer. He is getting this because he is dying. I would 100 times over take him healthy over getting a trip to Disney.
He has options. It's not fair to us for you three to go and disobey the custody agreement again. I have 3 kids and a wife at home, so you either find a way for them to go or none of the kids go.
After that, my mum just came in and started bawling. We never did go to Disney, but my brother did get a call from John Cena. My brother also did end up making a recovery and has been in remission for 10 years this July. Well, look, first of all, I've got to say it's awesome that your brother did make a full recovery. Oh man, cancer alone is scary, but in kids especially, just absolutely horrible. But secondly, let's move on to the entitled dad now. I've just got way too much to say about him. I'm going to keep it simple. Look, this guy's obviously a POS, a selfish guy. He's run off with his own family and now he wants them all to come along with you on your Make-A-Wish because the kid has cancer. Not because it's a nice thing to do, but because the kid is dying. He's in a very perilous situation. Please, you've gone off with your own family already. Just stay with them. If you want to, you can go to Disneyland separately. Not with this Make-A-Wish though. Come on. I'm sorry guys, but the kid has literally said that he doesn't want the entitled dad and his family to go. Just his mum, just his brother. How do you not understand that as a father? I mean, come on. I'm not going to say anymore. I need to move on to the next story before I get too angry. Now for our final story. Why won't you let my kids harass your pets? You're so selfish. Welcome to another episode of My Boyfriend's Cousin is an Entitled Butthole. The events of this post happened in the spring of 2018. My boyfriend and I went to his parents' place to spend the weekend and we took our pets with us. My cat and 2 dogs and his cat and dog. We were just sitting around chatting, laughing with his parents and sister when my boyfriend's cousin came over unannounced with her 3 kids in tow. This was the 2nd or 3rd time I was meeting this woman and the first time I was around her kids. My boyfriend's mum asked my boyfriend's cousin if everything was okay. She just smiled and said, "Oh, my husband will be out of town for the weekend, so I thought I'd come over here with the kids. They were getting bored." I suppose it didn't cross her mind to call first. Then she saw me and commented, "Oh, I see your new girlfriend is here too." My boyfriend's parents tried to introduce me to her kids. I'm guessing between the ages of 6 and 10 at the time, but they just ran off to watch TV. That's fine, no biggie. We all tried to make small talk, even as the television was turned on at a deafening volume. My boyfriend's dad had to tell them to turn it down. After we had lunch is when trouble started. My dogs and cats had been asleep when my cousin and her kid came in, but now they were up and having a little snack and were noticed by the said kids. They instantly demanded that they be allowed to play with them. Now my pets are not used to being around kids and I didn't want them to be harassed, so of course I said no. But apparently these kids had never heard the word no before. The oldest one, a boy, kept trying to pick up my cat, who jumped up on my lap for protection. The middle one, a girl, tried to grab one of my dog's ears, and the youngest, a boy, tried to climb on my other dog's back. All of this happened within a span of no more than 5 seconds. I decided to raise my voice a little and told them to leave my pets alone. They looked shocked and the youngest one began to cry. The others, my boyfriend, his parents, his sister and cousin, were in the next room and came running when they heard the commotion. The kid who was crying went bawling to his mummy and told her how I was being mean. The other 2 said they wanted to play with the dogs and cat and I wouldn't let them. So my boyfriend's cousin decided to get in my face and asked how dare I yell at her kids. I told her to calm down and that she needed to teach her kids some manners and how to interact with animals. And I told her what her precious angels had been doing. She didn't think her kids' behavior was problematic because that's what kids do. She then proceeded to yell at me about how awful and rude I was being. This is when my boyfriend jumped in. He made her back off with a stern, "Do not raise your voice at her ever again." His cousin has always been a bit intimidated by my boyfriend and this shut her up. My boyfriend's parents and sister backed us up and told the cousin she should teach her kids to be kind to animals. From the way they were talking, and as my boyfriend told me later on, this wasn't the first time the cousin's kids had attacked someone's pets. My boyfriend's sister's dog at the time was really old, and his parents had gotten a puppy a few months earlier. The kids had been told in no uncertain terms that they were not to go near them. The rest of the weekend was a mix of fun and awkwardness. The awkwardness was due to my boyfriend's cousin, who made it a point to stare daggers at me and my pets. That seems a little bit harsh. Why is she angry at the pets as well? Why is she staring daggers at the pets? That's so weird. Thankfully, my boyfriend's parents' house is enormous, and our room and cousin and kids' room was on a different floor, so we mostly just interacted with them during meals. My boyfriend's parents have a separate room for pets. It has several beds, toys, cat treat, etc. that family members' pets can use. During our stay, all of our cats and dogs would hang out in this room, and my boyfriend's cousin's kids were banned from it. But this didn't stop my boyfriend's cousin complaining several times that it was such a waste to use such a large room for pets, and that it should have been a kid's room so her spawn could play in it, even though her kids had infested the rest of the house. I remember thinking, what a Karen. Over the years, this woman has lived up to this name. And that is the end of that one. Guys, as I do usually say when there are entitled kids, in quotation marks, I don't always blame the kids because, you know, they're kids, they're young. In this situation, surely it is the entitled mum's fault for not really training/teaching her kids how to act around animals. Yeah, she just hasn't really done her job as a mother there, if I'm being honest. I don't know, maybe some people don't really understand that animals are like real living things with feelings and emotions, and also, you know, they need space themselves. If you're gonna go and pet someone, like pull their ear, that sort of stuff, it's gonna make the animals potentially have a very different perspective of humans in general. It can send them into a bad place. And also, you know, if you're unlucky, the animal could just bite your kid. You need to teach your kids not to do that around animals. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this episode of Entitled Parents. As I said in the introduction, make sure you are subscribed and also put your notifications on. That will mean you never miss out on a daily video that I upload here on my channel. Also, if you do want more from me immediately, I have left a full feature-length film of Entitled Parents right here on the screen. If you want to go and watch it, it's over 100 minutes of pure Entitled Parents content. So if you want a bit of that, it's right there for you to go and check out.